Welcome to Wednesday Word. My name is Kevin and I'd like to share some thoughts about the environmental crisis and how we might respond. This is intended as a follow-on to Mark Roberts' excellent talk, Build Back Better. You may wish to listen to it again. It's dated 17th of June. Mark spoke about the detrimental impact that we are inflicting on our planet's environment through climate change and other pollution, and the disproportionate impact on the livelihoods of the vulnerable. Also, of our responsibilities as Christians. This is a huge topic, so I can only skim the surface today. I provided some supplementary notes, Bible verses and links in a document that you can find next to the link for this talk. First, a little background on me. I've been working in the development of sustainable energy technologies for around 15 years, and the last 7 in a small company developing an innovative process which could, for example, convert your black bin waste into clean hydrogen whilst locking away carbon dioxide. As generally accepted now, if we don't take drastic and urgent action to almost eliminate greenhouse gas emissions, we are facing scenarios that dozens of countries will become uninhabitable. Already, plastic pollution is killing. Tearfund recently estimated that 1 person dies every 30 seconds in poor countries due to issues related to plastic pollution. These are just 2 aspects of an immense coming disaster. Awareness is improving, partially thanks to David Attenborough, Greta Thunberg and others. The election of Joe Biden brings hope of an American response based on recognition of the urgency. But what are we doing, and why? Well, let's consider James 2 verse 15. Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? Let's also consider the approaches by World Vision, Tearfund and others of addressing physical needs whilst bearing witness to the good news of the kingdom of God. The passage from James goes on to ask, where is your faith without action? Now, considering another angle, recalling the parable of the talents from Matthew 24 and elsewhere in the Gospels. 3 servants are given stewardship of different amounts of talents. 2 double the amount, and when one buries it, returning it unused to the master. A clear message is that we should not be like the lazy servant, but we should work hard with the resources we are given to maximise the return. Now, although the parable talks about financial return, in the context of Jesus' other teaching, it's clear we're not tasked with extracting maximum financial returns without considering the wider impacts. And there are multiple verses, mainly in the Old Testament, about the ethics of finance, including, by the way, of not charging interest without sharing risk. The parable is often also interpreted as applying to our capabilities as well as our money. So is the challenge that our action in response to this coming crisis should include active application of our capabilities and financial resources. Firstly, can we use our capabilities, our mind, our ability to influence governments, companies, people? I would suggest that would be most effective if we inform ourselves and can make informed choices ourselves too. Many will purchase electricity for our homes on green tariffs, fantastic, but are they from providers who are genuinely increasing renewable electricity generation? Is that spend making the most impact it can be? Now, home energy and travel are important, of course, but the majority of our greenhouse gas emissions are related to our consumption of products, services, food. Even this podcast is having a small detrimental impact. Our use of the internet and storage of data in the cloud means data centres are the cause of more greenhouse gas emissions than global aviation, i.e. more than all aeroplanes, and that was even before COVID. Back to the plastic crisis for a moment. We've seen the pictures on TV of rivers in poor countries clogged with plastic waste, much of that from our country having been dutifully placed in the recycling bin. So if we're to make a real impact, we have to go deeper and understand the core problems. In this example, we could, in my opinion, be pushing government to apply taxes to new plastic production because it's far too cheap. to incentivise actually using the recycled plastic. But that might mean we have to accept our sleek creamy white shampoo bottle might not be quite as pretty. Some manufacturers are taking tentative steps in this direction, and maybe we need to support that and tell them we would preferentially select products from the shelf that are in sustainable packaging. We can't, of course, become informed of all areas of environmental damage. Maybe we focus on what resonates with us, whether plastics, greenhouse gas emissions, water, air quality, habitat destruction. And then by going beyond the simple headlines, we can understand how we can make a real difference. Secondly, our finances. I think it's quite easy to carefully consider our giving, where it's going and what it will achieve, but then not consider as much the generally much larger sums of what we spend or save. We have significant spending power, which can be used to good or bad. When we purchase food and clothes, we can make choices which lead to the least environmental damage, and also fair treatment of farmers and workers. We can buy more durable products, which stand the test of time. There is some effort involved to seek out those better choices, and sometimes less convenient, but the impact is great. Next, savings. For those in a fortunate position of having the luxury of savings or pension funds, what are those funds supporting? Our financial system is set up such that we hand over the stewardship of our savings to banks, fund managers, etc., who then invest to gain a maximum financial return. So we are affirming, and indeed benefiting, from the actions of a wide range of companies that in another context we might look at very critically. That would include, for example, further fossil fuel exploration, perpetuating the low cost of oil, gas, plastic, etc., sometimes in sensitive environments like the Arctic. In response, the Church of England and Methodist Church have started to shift their investments from some of the oil and gas companies. It's a step in the right direction. For us, well, could we as a start ensure that our savings are in funds that have strong sustainability as well as ethical criteria? But could we go further? Are we prepared to provide funds not primarily geared at financial return, but to empower those who are focusing on tackling some of the huge challenges we face? Sustainable farming, community energy projects, technology development, etc. What could Tier Fund do if it could provide start-up loans to sustainable businesses in vulnerable communities? So in summary, I think there is a recognition of the immense scale of the coming environmental crisis and its impact on billions of people. A fundamental reset of how we live is needed. If we inform ourselves, we can use our influence, the power of our spending and savings to start that reset. I would encourage you to listen to the sermon on November the 22nd and also look at the notes that you should find in a link next to this video. Thank you for listening.